I have a few questions for you, which I'd like for you to place under serious consideration. Do you have a passion in life which you're relentlessly pursuing, putting into action and motion? What's your definition of positivity, and what steps are you putting into place to ensure that you remain on that track? And finally, which seeds are you planting for a prosperous future for yourself and the next generation? Well, if you spend 5 minutes with Kyle Sullivan, you'll quickly discover a couple of things. He has a magnetic energy for living life, an unbridled enthusiasm, and is 100% committed to eliminating barriers to opportunities in his personal and professional life, along with those that he mentors along the way. Kyle founded Unleash the Champ to create powerful coaching experiences for people and organizations, which ultimately lead to them discovering and stepping into the champions they were created to be. With over 10 years of leadership and team development experience under his belt, and a burning desire to learn it all himself and grow, Kyle strives to create an environment which allows people to unlock the cages that they're in and unleash the champ within them. He joined me this week to talk about character building, leadership development, his own personal journey, and what it takes to unleash the champion in you. I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Over the last decade, Sullivan has personally coached over 1,000 individuals in various leadership and development roles. And through his personal experience and his professional journey, he's discovered that there's a champion worth winning for in all of us. And he began his remarks by detailing that philosophy and how it fuels his life's work.
Absolutely, Kevin. I do believe that we are all designed to be a champion and have a designed championship run for us. And so for me, it was a roller coaster ride of decisions that were by my choice and not by my choice. And ultimately, it led to me getting very clear on what I wanted, who I wanted to be, what I wanted to become, and then really just chasing after that. And so that's what I get to do now, is help people understand that it is there's no reason for us to play small, and there's no reason for us to not go after the things that we really want in life. And so helping people identify that sometimes you can be really successful and not have the fulfillment that you thought that success would bring. And so the people I get to work with, helping align those things is really important, and it's really fun.
And I'm wondering, because you also tell me that goals are something that we can make happen, and there doesn't necessarily have to be a predetermined disposition to make goals happen. So I'm wondering if you can dive into that for me.
Yeah, so I think with goals, um, they have to be specific. They have to be flexible. Because when we have our goals, we have the things that we want to get done, we want to accomplish, we want to see happen, but we have to have the flexibility to shift as we get new awareness or new circumstances happen. And so there's a set thing. Okay, here's where I want my life to go. Here's where I want my business to go. Here's where I want my personal life, whatever the case may be. But then we have to be flexible enough to say, oh, I didn't know this was going to happen. I gotta shift. Oh, I didn't know that I would have this understanding or this opportunity. I need to shift that. And so being able to have our goals set, our direction set, but a good amount of flexibility is also really important to making sure that our goals are achieved and we don't get frustrated in the process. Because I think sometimes when we are too rigid with what has to happen, when we are required to have that flexibility, that's what frustrates us. And that's what really can take us out of achieving our goals, is when we're not flexible within the journey.
And Kyle, I took a look at your shirt you got on there, buddy, and the cap on your mantle over there that says "Unleash the Champ." So I'm wondering if you can tell me about that philosophy and how you came up with it, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. So CHAMP stands for our calling, our heart, our altitude, our mindset, and our performance. And so my passion is helping men and women in leadership roles unleash those pillars into their life. And so the calling is, it doesn't necessarily have to be your career. It is, what do you put on planet Earth to do, be, and become? Then your heart. What are the things that are most important to you? How are you protecting that? How are you unleashing that into the world? Our altitude is just the ultimate vision, because our calling is what we're doing. It's the things that but our vision is where we want to go, that altitude of how high we want to rise. And then those things flow into the last two of our mindset, because everything that is important, everything that we are able to achieve, happens between the ears before we see it before our eyes. And so, and then all of it culminates in our performance. What are the things that we do day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, that get us to that ultimate championship run? And that is our purpose. That is our ability to see all of the things that we work for come to pass.
Absolutely. And you know, Kyle, I was born with what's called spastic quadriplegia cerebral palsy. It simply means that I don't have enough oxygen in my legs to walk normally. And one of the big missions that I have in life is to elevate inclusion and diversity for individuals with disabilities. And I'm wondering your thoughts on the importance of infusing individuals with disabilities into societal life.
Oh man, Kevin, you're living it out. You're putting yourself out there when it would maybe even be easier to say, well, I got this thing, I can't go after this. We're having this conversation now because you model that. And that's my heart too, is going, hey, look, we are all made up of different parts, but we're part of the one body. That is the human body. And so being able to sit across the table, virtually, of course, in this case, but be able to have a conversation about leadership and about growth and about being able to be different, but find our connection, is so important in today's world and tomorrow's world and forever.
Also, I'm curious to ask you, what qualities do you think make up a dynamic leader there, Kyle?
Yeah, I think a dynamic leader is made up of the right amount of confidence and humility. So that's a little bit of a paradox there, but it's this, I don't have to tell you, oh, these are all the things that I'm great at, but it's this humility of saying, hey, look, I want the best for the team. I like to say, like, as a leader, when things go wrong, you're a mirror. You look in the mirror and say, hey, where could I have on this? When things go great, you're a window. You open it up, pass that to your team, pass that to the people that help make you happen. That is a big piece of being a dynamic leader. Another thing is also understanding that you're never the smartest person in the room, and if you are, you need to get into a different room. And so that constant desire, like I say, I'm a proud learn it all. I always want to be challenged. I always want to grow. I always want to get better. And so being able to have that is a key piece of being a dynamic leader for sure.
Kyle, tell me, I know that you have a philosophy about owning your own destiny and personal growth. So I'm curious to ask you to elaborate on that, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we are the owners of it by being able to prepare, being able to grow, being able to be available and obedient when opportunities come. I am who I am today because I did and am doing the work. I'm standing on the shoulders of people who have gone before me that have helped me along the way. And I know that owning my own destiny is I'm going to prepare, I'm going to wait for the invitation, and then when the opportunity comes, I'm going to do the absolute best I can, and I'm going to grow, and I'm going to develop. And then as more opportunities come, I'm going to continue that. And when we are in a constant state of, hey, as things come, we see if it's a good fit, if it goes, we put ourselves out there. That is what it means to own your destiny is, and I'm in a constant state of growth. And I know that consistent behavior over time always yields results.
And I know for a lot of people, and for yourself included, sometimes getting out of our comfort zone is hard to do. And I know that you had to do it yourself to start your own business and develop your own championship run. So tell me all about that, buddy.
Woo, Kevin, we talking now. So I think being able to get out of our own way is so needed in our championship run. So often we understand that we go to the path of least resistance. We are typically people that don't like confrontation. We don't like discomfort. We don't like struggle. But there's nothing of significance that happens without overcoming adversity, overcoming our desire for comfort. And so being able to say, okay, here's the easy path. And here is the path that I'm going to have to grow. I'm going to have to learn. I'm going to have to put myself out there. I'm going to have to take some hits. I'm going to have to develop in ways that I may or may not even know right now. The list of what is needed for significance is way longer than the list that is needed for comfort. I mean, we could just continue to be comfortable every day and not push ourselves and not put ourselves out there and not do anything. And then we get to the end of our life and we go, man, I wonder if when we push ourselves out of our comfort zone and we walk through that, then we go, okay, on the other side of this, I'm better for it. And I think there's so many people that are waiting for us to walk through that so that they have the belief that they can do it too.
And I'm also curious to circle back to inclusive and diverse culture. What do you think it's going to take for more people to feel as if they're included into societal life? And how do you think we can take full advantage of the diversity of all people there, buddy?
Kevin, I think it's conversations, man. I think that's what it boils down to is people being willing to be different, but have a conversation. Because I believe that once we do talk, once we do have relationship with people, we see people differently. And unfortunately, people judge what they don't understand. And that is a huge barrier, I think, oftentimes, is if we would just get across the table, we'd get across the video, we'd get across the way from each other and just talk. We find out that we're actually probably more similar than we are apart, but because of this, that, or whatever, it polarizes people. And I think the biggest thing is have a conversation and be willing to think differently, be willing to hear perspectives that you don't may or may not agree with. And that is what helps this culture of, you know, inclusion happen more quickly, is when we realize, hey, let's just be good humans and let's just talk to one another. And when we know people, I think that will be the thing.
And I'm also curious to ask you about what do you think is the main reason that people don't always take the leap of faith in their own abilities and attributes that they're given to put on to give to other people and to contribute to society?
Oh man, I think that is circumstances, life, people that they've seen as voices in their life. I think when we live through this life, there are times where we feel beat up. There's times that we feel like we can't do something, and if we don't have people in our corner saying, no, 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 hey, you can do this. Hey, I know it's tough. Hey, push through it. Hey, I know, that is what keeps people. And it's really the first battle we have to fight is the one we see in the mirror. It's really, before we can have any external success, we have to understand that it is you versus you. And when we can go, okay, hey, here's where I want to go, I have to see myself differently so that I can show up differently. I think that's the thing that keeps people most, is their inability to see what's possible for them.
And to that end, what's your definition of a personal empowerment there, Kyle? I'm curious.
Yeah, Kevin, I would say our personal empowerment just comes from our ability to say, here's what I want, here's who I want to be, here's who I want to do life with, I want to be about, and then it's going for that. And it's taking the next right step. It's not trying to have it all figured out. It is going to a place of saying, here's what I want, here's who I want to be. I'm going to take the next right step. And it's about a journey. I think so often we overestimate what we can accomplish quickly, but we underestimate what we can accomplish playing the long game of life.
And Kyle, I'm curious to ask you, what do you think the keys are to building successful and prosperous relationships?
Oh man, that's a great question, Kevin. I would say one, listening. When we listen to, I think it was in How to Win Friends and Influence People, when it's Dale Carnegie talks about seeking to understand rather than be understood. And so being able to listen, just to listen, not listen to form a response, I think that is a key to having great relationships. Another is that what we spoke about earlier, it's being willing to hear differing opinions and still value the person. Because if we don't value people, then we will not have thriving relationships. And so I think those are three things that are really important. And so it's being able to be an active listener, being able to seek to understand rather than be understood. And at the end of the day, we just value people, regardless of beliefs or thoughts or whatever.
I'm curious to also ask you about, with social media and the pressures of society today, I'm curious to ask you, how do you think we cut through the noise that we see on the social media platforms to make sure that at the core of our oneself or us as individuals, we stay true to the individual principles who make us who we are?
Oh, Kevin, again, such great questions, man. I think the biggest thing to understand is if what we're seeing on social media doesn't serve us and doesn't inspire us, we have the ability to change that. And so we can unfollow, we can unsubscribe, we can follow people that do inspire us, follow people that do. That's the beauty of it, is oftentimes we're following people that don't actually help us in any way of our life. It actually stresses us out, it upsets us, it frustrates us, but yet we keep following these people. And so, I mean, in the world of social media, it's called that for a reason. And so if it doesn't serve you, hit that unfollow button.
Yeah, I think that's a good piece of advice, and I think we can also invoke in moderation, right? Everything in moderation, because
Absolutely.
absolutely. And I'm curious to ask you. You got a little bit of an accent, Kyle, so I'm curious to ask you where you're originally from and what makes you the person you are today, buddy.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Louisiana,
I
and
could
so
tell.
got a little southern accent, and so yeah, man, the person I am today is based on people believing in me more than I believed in myself at the time. People showing me what is possible, and really, man, my desire from a really young age to learn as much as possible to be able to implement in my life. And so it is through conversations, opportunities, relationships, and mentors, both in person and in writing, that is making me who I'm becoming today, tomorrow, and years to come.
And for you, what's the best part about living in life, Kyle?
Gosh, that we're alive, that we get to make an impact, that we get to inspire people. And, just as like, the listeners can't hear, but like my shirt says hope dealer. It is that we get to deliver hope. And, for me, the best part is the group I get to influence most is my family. And so that's what's really exciting to me.
And I'm also curious to ask you if there's one lesson you want your life to be remembered by that you've imparted on other people, what would that be?
Go for it. Go for it. Whatever you are curious about, whatever you have a desire to learn or be challenged by, just go for it. It is my definition of success is getting to the end of my life with as little what ifs as possible. And so I don't want to have to be, however old I'm going to be and go, man, I wish I could have done this thing. I wish that I would have tried to go here. And so it's, hey, just put yourself out there. People are going to talk. People are going to question. People won't understand. People will understand. People will support. People will affirm. But at the end of the day, just go for it. Bet on yourself. You're worthy. You're a champion. And let's unleash the champ.
So, if someone would write a book about the arc of your life and how you wanted to be remembered, what do you think the title of your book would be? And what sort of legacy do you want to leave behind, Kyle?
Oh, man. Come on. It's got to be Unleash the Champ.
I figured you might say that.
Yeah. So it's got to be Unleash the Champ. And the legacy, I hope, is that those closest to me know I cared about them, know that I did everything for them, and that what is possible is probable when we follow the path. And so being able to say, okay, hey, it's time. Go for the thing that you think isn't possible. Put yourself in situations that challenge you, and leaving and living a legacy is about inspiring others with your yes for their yes.
Absolutely. And my final question for you, Kyle, is if people want to get connected with you, what's the best way they can do that, buddy?
Yeah, absolutely. So just DM me on Instagram, Kyle J. Sullivan. That's where I'm most active, and would love to have a conversation about this topic. If it found anything to be inspiring, which I know it will, just reach out to me on there. That's the quickest and easiest way to get in touch with me.
Hey, fantastic, Kyle. I really want to thank you for spending some time with me today, and better for spending some time with you. I want to thank you for your time, insights, and perspectives, and for joining me this afternoon. It's most appreciated.
Absolutely, Kevin. This has been a great conversation.